It's crazy that this even needs to be explained, but I suppose that's the media ecosystem that we're in these days. So late last night, Trump signed an executive order to defund NPR and PBS, and we've heard that this was coming for months. He's been really after NPR and PBS. And the reason that he's after these media broadcasting companies is because he claims they present an ideological bias. They are too left-leaning to accurately represent what is neutral, unbiased media in the United States. And if you are a person who has paid attention to media for any period of time beyond Trump's second term, any period of time predating that, then you likely have some semblance of knowledge of the fact that NPR and PBS are the two most boring, unbiased, no interest, no stake news outlets ever. What they are known for is the fact that they do nothing but fact, and like Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers. So for this administration to be going after NPR and PBS for ideological bias, it says something about the media landscape and what we have now allowed bias to mean. And I think that there's something to be said for the fact that if the alt-right administration comes after something for being left-leaning, when that left-leaning organization, since the beginning of time, has represented nothing but boring, destimulating, fact-based reporting, that means for us that facts have become politicized. The idea of representing fact in your journalism, which is like a basic ethical requirement of journalism, facts have become political. And we knew that already, but this attack on NPR and PBS is telling us that if you are a news outlet that is sharing fact, you are left-leaning. Using facts in your reporting means that you now have a left lean, according to the current administration. So what does this mean for you as a news consumer? It means if you are in media silos to one side or the other, if you have a left-leaning media silo, you will still see fact-based information. If you don't have a left-leaning media silo, which half the country doesn't, right? Those people will no longer see any news with any semblance of fact within it. And that is a devastating blow to the news media ecosystem. And we were already heading there, but this executive order and hopefully the fight that will come along with it really goes to show that this administration and the alt-right are attacking fact, which throughout history, fact, right? Like you learn as a child what fact is. Fact is truth. Fact is real. Fact is science-based. Can't be attacked from emotion or any of that other nonsense, right? But this administration is really trying to push fact into the left camp so that all of the people that they are trying to aggregate on the right and on the alt-right will completely deny fact and work against fact. And this attack on NPR and PBS, again, the most neutral of outlets. Also, the Associated Press, the most neutral of outlets, is screaming at us as American citizens that fact is under attack and it is being weaponized against the very people that need it most. Because we know within the media ecosystem, once you fall into your silos, all that you see is information you already agree with. And that's a huge problem. But it's one that we've seen for 15, 20 years. Even then, fact still came up. Fact was still part of the conversation. But if we are living in a world where the leader on high says fact is left-leaning, then that alienates the 50% of the population that is right-leaning. And the swath of that population that is moderately right-leaning. Your base of knowledge for most people who aren't willing to stick out, stay in the trenches of news media, trying to do their own research, this means that those people, the average person, will not get fact-based reporting or fact-based information. NPR and PBS are promising to fight back on this, saying Trump can't do it. Congress is in charge of the money. We've seen this over the past few months play out in a lot of different ways, and the answer is still the same. But the message that he's sending about defunding NPR and PBS is that facts are no longer viewed within legitimate lenses. Facts are not legitimate. Alternative facts is a phrase that this administration has used before that I just recently encountered again. It made me laugh because that's not what fact is. The definition of fact is something that is truthful, something that is real, something that is grounded in reality. And by creating the split reality where only people on the left see fact and people on the alt-right completely deny fact as being untrue, it's not just lying and skeevy and slimy and shitty. It's also like causing a huge divide in an already uneducated population of people who are desperate for reality and for some grip on what is real. Because the longer that you stay without that grip on reality, the more susceptible you are to propaganda, the more susceptible you are to false information and to believing things that aren't true, and the more helpless you become against whatever forces might be trying to share a message with you. When you lose touch with reality, you lose touch with everything. You lose touch with other people. You lose touch with the country. And you are so at risk of sliding into an abyss of someone else's making to just use you as a puppet. And I can guarantee all of the people that have complained about sheep and talked about, patriotism and all of that, if those people knew they were being used as puppets, they would not be happy with it. If you took the key player out, if you were to tell these people you're being used as puppets, you're being fed lies, you're being told that the truth is not real, you're being gaslit, I don't imagine those people would take well to it from a neutral standpoint. And that is why we need neutrality and why we need neutral news outlets to be seen as neutral, not as left-leaning, because they represent the world that is actually the one we're living in. Facts are not political, and don't let anybody tell you that they are.